Welcome to another episode of Season 4, Paige's Lessons. If you identify as someone who is ambitious, curious about life, and is a badass, you've come to the right place. This mini-series is specifically dedicated toward helping you explore your own unique healing journey. As a board-certified life coach, I made it my life's work to encourage and guide my clients to build a dream lifestyle and overcome any obstacles so they can feel more aligned with their most authentic self. As this season is titled The Power of Healing, in just 1 year alone, I personally have participated in several different modalities beyond talk therapy that have truly transformed my life, and I can't wait to share them with you. In every episode, I will interview an expert that is a master of their craft, and they will break down a specific way to heal through their unique services. As a mental health advocate, I'm so excited to have these conversations that will bring you closer to optimal health and well-being. Together, we will discover how we define healing, what does healing actually look like and feel like into practice. Make sure to listen to all the episodes of this season, stay open-minded, and remember, healing is a process, not an event. If we can take one step at a time, one feeling at a time, we'll walk through this discomfort and into the rest of our lives. Hi, Molly.
Hello.
How are you?
Fabulous.
I really love this is the first time and only time I've ever had a guest in person.
It's really exciting.
Is this how it used to be in the day?
I think that definitely some people still or have done in-person podcasts.
Everything's just so online nowadays that I'm like, is this a thing? Do people meet in person anymore?
I know. Everyone's gotten used to the Zoom.
But I mean, we both live in California, so why the hell not do it in person? I think it
Exactly.
feels really good and like natural.
It does. And, I love how the dynamic changes when you can be in person.
That's so true versus just behind a screen. And yeah, cool. So I'm stoked that you're here in my home and we're chatting today about healing. And before we get into our conversation, I already did a little blurb about you and about, your bio, but just tell the listeners a little bit about who you are, maybe what you like to do for fun.
Sure. So my name's Molly, and I am a practitioner of a lot of different modalities. I really love working with human design, and I also really love educating about water. So these are the two things, kind of the main focus of this podcast. In general, what I like to do for fun, the typical hanging out with friends. I love spending time outside but for the most part, like what I love is what I do. So I spend a lot of my time getting to connect with people over human design and water and these modalities of self-empowerment and healing.
Beautiful. I love that. And I ask every guest this question. So go as far as you want. But what was one dream you had for yourself as a kid?
As a kid, I wanted to save the rainforest. There's like this very specific point in time around like 5th and 6th grade. I like started recycling program at my school and, there was a lot of like learning around that time period about specifically the Amazon, but I feel that was, part of the journey of the connection to Earth that we all have, and this like love for giving back to the Earth that we get to co-create with.
Oh my God, that's so beautiful. I also was like, that's also probably just millennial shit, but just heavily focused on why the fuck are people fucking with the rainforest? And I like the obsession of toucans began. I just loved drawing toucans and I just wanted to be in the rainforest. And
I had a mural painted on my wall of the rainforest.
Did you have at where you grew up, did you have a rainforest cafe, that restaurant?
No, but I did have the experience of going to them at like Disney World or something.
Okay, yeah. Just the environment of even just being it was very peaceful. Just tropical and magical. And so what would you tell your little kid self now about that dream? And
like stay the line, like keep doing what I'm doing, and like feed the fire of that passion.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So my goal for this season is to educate the listeners more on how we define healing. What does healing actually look like and feel like into practice? The more I'm interviewing different experts on this season, we all have different journeys, obviously, but also different definitions. And so I think it's really important to have a conversation on healing because it's such a trigger word, I think, especially in the self-help, self-development world.
Mm.
And it could bring up a lot of different things. And so I kind of want to debunk some myths around healing, especially the you have to be broken or you are broken, so you have to heal, right? Let's kind of like problem solution kind of thing. So anyway, today we're talking about two different things that we're going to integrate that you're passionate about, that you're an enthusiast of, and you have expertise in, which is water and human design. And so I think this episode, we're really just going to flow, let go and flow as of water, and also share. And so just share how it blends. And that's just kind of like who you are and your makeup right now. So let's maybe first start with the conversation of healing. So how do you define healing?
That's such a good question. It's definitely changed over the course of my life, over the course of my journey with healing. I came from a space of like doing social work and counseling and more of a more mainstream approach to healing. In at least it was mainstream in my world at that time, and then have kind of gone on a journey that has taken me healing inward, kind of more of like explored a lot of like spiritual healing modalities. Reiki has come into my world, and then coming kind of bringing it around to like where I'm at now, I really see healing as this aligning with myself. It's an alignment with my journey that brings me to this moment. So because healing, like there is the shadow work and the part that hurts, like, the part that makes us label it healing, right? But then there's also the surrender into the everything is okay right now, and I have the tools and the resources in this moment to move me forward. And that's why I love working with people who are already on their healing journeys and who already recognize the power of sitting with themselves and know that they have that power within themselves, right? And that's why I work with Human Design right now, is this I love seeing it as this like permission slip to be your fullest self. It's like this, you get like a quantum confirmation of who you've always been. And it has really shifted how I view healing. Because at one point in time, I kind of got stuck in a loop of thinking I needed to like go back and find the things that I needed to heal to be able to move forward, kind of thing, instead of this surrender into the moment and this into like being present with the power that we each have right now and being able to move forward in that.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack. And it's so beautiful though. I love just like your free flow of how you speak. It just makes sense to me. And you touched on a lot of good things, right? I heard alignment, surrender, permission slip. I mean, all very like open, accepting words that I think people that know nothing about human design, which is what I kind of want to get into, and how it changed my life, right? And, a huge reason why you're on the show, not only because you know your shit, but you're also my friend. You introduced me to both of these things. I would not really have gone into this path without you. So I think let's maybe start with how human design can be a form of healing, or at least a tool or a methodology, not methodology, a modality, if you will, of like how can human design be healing. But I guess before we get into it, what is it? What is human design?
That's a really great place to start. Okay, so human design is a synthesis system that combines ancient wisdoms with modern sciences. So it takes parts of astrology, the I Ching, the Hindu Brahman chakra system, combines it with quantum physics, biology, chemistry, genetics, and using your birth information gives you a genetic blueprint of how life force energy moves through your body, your form uniquely. And because we can see the way energy is moving through your body, there's a lot of layers of where we can meet you in your healing journey or in your path of alignment, right? So human design can be utilized in a lot of different ways. People integrate it and into their practice in a lot of different ways. I, at least right now in this part of my journey, I've been experimenting. I've been in my human design experiment. So let me take a step back. So when I say in my human design experiment, that means that once I found this information, I got a session with someone, and I got what's called my strategy and authority. And I started experimenting with listening to my strategy and authority, right? So that has been about 3 years. And and that's where, like, I've been through a lot of healing transformations in that journey with that experiment, right? And that's where I meet people, my clients, the people I work with are people who come to this knowledge and feel that call to experiment with learning about what it means for themselves and how it can integrate within their lives.
Yeah.
I feel like I went on tangents. Did I answer the question?
I think it's, let's just call a spade a spade. Human design is hella complex.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's not enough time in the day for us to talk about it.
Yeah.
We can't summarize human design in one beautiful bow. But to your point of, it's a way for you to be yourself. It's a blueprint, which is a great term.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally the time and day you were born. It's factual. It's not a personality characteristic. It's not a belief system. This is just what the fuck it is. And I'm a big metaphor person. So if, I remember talking with you about, like, like if our body is a vehicle, if we're this car, right? And we're trying to separate from what the mind says versus what our body and our inner authority is telling us, right? I think for someone that's just barely getting information on human design, you touched on your strategy and authority.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just start with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And just to, like, kind of wrap that up, because I love what you said of just, like, bringing it back around, if human design is really complex, because that's why I really love working with it, because it's a science that's been proven and there's a lot of layers to the science of it. And this system doesn't ask you to believe anything. It asks you to experiment with it and apply it to your own life, which I just think is super cool and super empowering, right? And the way that you do that, so the only thing that you really need to be able to experiment with that, at least on a surface level, is your strategy and authority. And so that's going to come based on your aura type, and then this place of consistent life force energy within you that can give you guidance and you can trust to give you guidance, right? And so when we speak of aura types, we all have an aura, right? But they all work differently. There's one, your aura type is one of 4 different aura types, either a generator, projector, manifester, or reflector. And so depending on your aura type, you have a different way of navigating this field, quantum field that we live in, this life that we're living in. You have a different way of navigating it to be aligned with the least amount of resistance, right? Because we're here to live our own unique life on our own journey. And because we're on our own journey, we're not here to, we'll meet obstacles, but we're not here to be overtaken by those obstacles. We have the power to meet what it is that we face.
Mm-hmm. So strategy means?
So strategy is either, depending on your aura type, the way that you meet life. So for a generator, it's wait to respond. For a projector, it's wait for the invitation. For the manifester, to inform. And then for the reflector, it's really important that they take a lot of time to make big decisions for their life. And so it's like waiting a full lunar cycle for big decisions for them, just because of the way that their energy works, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all of those are keynote phrases based on the science of human design, and what that actually means and what that actually looks like is probably a little different than what you think it is when you first hear the term. And so that's what I really like to go into with people when they have sessions with me, is like, what does it actually mean to wait for the invitation, and why is it actually an empowering thing to know for yourself?
Yes. When we first met and we got into human design pretty, like, I don't know, within like 30 seconds. That's just naturally how it happened. And when I heard the term for the first time, wait for the invitation, I was pissed. Right? I was like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? I get what I want. I'm ambitious. What do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
And learning more about it, explaining it, having conversations with you, doing my own research, all the things, looking at my chart. It's a completely different experience now, and actually applying to what that really means for me has changed my life. And so, yeah, based on your aura type, your strategy is going to change. It's going to be different. But it's so important to talk to someone that is studying this, or, if anything, is taking the time to look at your chart very specifically and give you that context. Because if you just Google it, you're screwed. So I highly recommend speaking with some type of expert or enthusiast that is really dedicated to the shit.
Yeah, there's definitely, it's interesting because I've been, I still have a lot,
Of
to
course,
go and
we all
learn
do.
and whatever.
Yeah.
But like, it's been interesting to kind of observe. There's like different ways that people utilize this system. And over time, you kind of start to be able to feel out when, and this is kind of like what you can run into online, is like kind of the people who have taken the system and applied it to their life, kind of like on top of it, and then are just kind of utilizing it to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't feel good. Whereas like there's other people who it's like completely transformed the way that they choose to live their life, or like the way that they experience life, and therefore like that knowledge is transferred like on a cellular level. This knowledge is actually comes from a specific frequency, right? And so it's really like there's a huge difference between like the embodiment of the knowledge versus studying the knowledge. There's a difference. And yeah,
that actually came up in a previous episode of the difference between embodying and just knowledge.
mm-hmm.
That actually came up.
Yeah.
So,
and that's why I love like working with people who are just meeting the system, because I'm like, just, you don't need to like go prove yourself that you understand it. Like, you don't need to get lost in all the information, because that's something parts of me got lost in the beginning, and I've seen what happens when people get lost in that knowledge, like you're saying that you spoke about on the other podcast, is like you get lost in your head, but you forget the embodiment of the knowledge. That's why it's like the knowledge comes when you follow your strategy and authority, right? So we started with the strategy, depending on your aura type. Your authority is going to be that place within you that you can make your decisions from, right? But there's, depending on what you have consistently defined in your chart or not, that's going to decide what is your inner authority, right? So someone who has what we call a defined solar plexus, and is going to be an emotional authority, the way that they experience life and approach life is a really different experience than someone who has an undefined solar plexus, right? And all of these things, like I'm trying to stay kind of general, because that's the beauty of this system, is like there's so much specificity and so much that you can pull from each person's chart, right? That, you start like making too many generalizations about it and you lose the magic of it, in my perspective.
Yeah. And I think, as a 6'2" splenic projector, just talking about the projector side, my goal, my mission, I don't know, is to study a system and become a master so that I could be recognized for that system and wait for those invitations to then share my knowledge and help and guide others, right? So I think for me, that's been a challenge as a projector, is getting too caught into sometimes the system or studying so fucking much, which is good. I'm studying if I'm passionate about it. But then if I'm getting too much in my head, like you said, the magic's kind of gone. And then I'm not really listening to, so my authority is my spleen. And I battle between my spleen and my brain. And for those that don't know, at least for my experience, my spleen is very similar to, I kind of relate it to just, like God speaking to me. It's a conversation I have like with my higher power, but it's a whisper. It's very short. It's very instinctual. It's survival. It's very quick. It's a yes or no, and it won't come up again. It's a one-time deal where I have this quick, is this right for me? And it's like, yep, nope. And then that's it. I can't ask again. It's only a one-time thing. So anyway, just my spleen, it always knows. And if I choose not to listen to it, then I deal with the consequences later. And that's been a journey in itself. But
well, and that's the magic of entering your own experiment, right? Because we all have that, we all have this battle, especially if you're called to this modality. You start, like, the experiment is really like being with the parts of your mind that argue when your spleen says, for me, my inner authority is my sacral. So like there have been times where my sacral will light up and respond, affirmative or negative to something, and my mind is like in the back seat being like, what like I can't do that, whatever, fill in the blank. But that's what, like, this is about, like, listening. Ultimately it all comes back to listening to the innate intelligence that is within our bodies. We all are, and that's kind of like where water kind of ties into it too, right? Because on a molecular, this is for me on my journey, but not everyone obviously correlates the two. But I love human design and working with human design because it's all about empowering the innate intelligence that's within your body. And then that for me ties into water because we are made of water. We are 99% water at a molecular level, right? By like weight, it's normally about 70%, depending on how old you are and all of these things. But on a molecular level, we're 99% water. So we really are the intelligence of water, right? And then, and that's also for me is just very empowering and really beautiful, very also spiritual, right? And healing to recognize how, I am water, you are water, and this earth is, covered in water. It really brings a solidity and also liquid connection to the world, right? In recognizing how we are all connected on this water level.
Yeah. And I think with human design, and going just back to the theme of healing here, and for me, having the information of my chart and then asking you and being curious and talking to other enthusiasts that also love human design, like being surrounded by people that also speak the language has been really helpful. And just for me in general, making themes and patterns and making sense. And as a projector, like learning about the other is how I learn more about myself. So the more I've been exposed to different even projectors, which has been so hilarious. After I learned that I am this aura type, I can name like so many on my hand of other projectors I'm already friends with that we didn't even know. They didn't even know. So it's funny how we just like attract each other because we see each other. And so it was just really, it's funny how that works out of like, oh wow, like no wonder one of my, like my best friends are also projectors. But then I learned not all projectors are the same. Every single human, we're all different. We all have different fingerprints. Same goes for the blueprint of your human design, and learning about, we're not going to get into all the things, but learning about the defined and undefined centers, the channels, the gates. There's so much information. So I really encourage you, if any of this sounds interesting, or you've heard about this before, like I really encourage you exploring getting your chart read, because it's so fucking validating. And so bringing it back to healing, I think you kind of touched on, right? Of like validating yourself, accepting yourself for who you are, going back to the term permission slip. That is what human design is. And also, to that other coin, limitations. Now, when I think originally of limitations, it's like, no, fuck that. Like, there is no limit. I can do anything. It's not necessarily like you're limited of like your ambitions and goals, but it's just the more I know about myself, it's boundaries, right? Like I know within myself,
I love that.
I can only give so much of my time, my energy, etc. So I'm limited in that way of what I choose to give my energy to and receive. Give and receive. So that part is limited, but if I'm still lit up about something, I'm gonna fucking do it.
Yeah. That's so cool that you bring in like the word limitations, because that's what's really cool and interesting, unique, because human design will give you like the limitations of your form, right? Because, and the way I see it is like, in order, like you're saying, like in order to know, like you have to have, your limitations are the best foundation for you, right? Because you want to build an expansive life off of a self-acceptance for who you are and who you came to be. Right. And there's like this like parts of us might be like, no, I can be anything, don't tell me what I can't be. But honestly, it's really nice like to have like certain things that it's like, oh no, like I didn't come here for that, so I can be a lot easier on myself about that stuff. Like I don't need to, there were a lot of things that I had taken on over the course of my life as just a part of who I thought I had to be, and therefore was failing to measure up to be that, and then like the human design came in and really flipped that on its head, in a lot of ways.
It's so good to bring it back to with healing, knowing about yourself, validating yourself, and telling societal pressures to go fuck themselves.
Exactly. And that's why like I love like looking at people's charts and stuff, because you can start pulling out different soft spots where they're like more vulnerable to certain types of conditioning based on what's defined or undefined in their chart. And then like what I've noticed is with awareness and acceptance, like it melts, it transforms. Like that's where there's this like flow and healing that can happen, even like in a quantum healing experience, right? Where there love, acceptance, like that can change and does change our experience of our life.
Absolutely. And so for your services, and when you're reading others' charts, you actually provide an ebook that's very customized. So once someone meets with you, you read their chart and everything, you do have this ebook. Share a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So after someone has a session with me, I have a little personalized ebook that I create, and it's basically a compilation of different information, like concepts from human design, from the human design system, that are really helpful when you're just starting out. So like it's, right now it's about 30 pages or so. I'm sure it'll grow or change, ebb and flow as I continue to learn. and work with more people. But yeah, it's thus far like a compilation of things that I've found to be really helpful and enjoy connecting people with this information at the beginning of their experiment to kind of like help them navigate. Because like we were talking about earlier, there's so much information that you can find about the system online. Sometimes it's nice to have like, here's like the foundations, here's the basic starting place, take a little bit in of this right now, and then go experiment, right? Because then if we don't actually go experiment, then it doesn't embody, and then it just gets lost up in this like the mind thing that we were talking about, where it's like it's knowledge but it's not embodied information.
Mm-hmm.
And so I enjoy working with people when it's this like embodied information.
Yeah, I love that. And I've also had a personalized, I mean, that's what you created for me, was this ebook, and I'm just super grateful for how tailored you made it.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
appreciate it.
just very to the point. And obviously, if I have more questions, I could reach out to you and connect. But I think this is a good transition because you do have in that section a little bit about water.
I mean, water has been present in so many ways throughout my life, right? But at this around the same time that I committed to my human design journey, something called living water also entered my life, and that has also been very transformational, right? Because I didn't really have much context about tap water, or especially like tap water in California. Like I've since learned how California is at the end of the water table, and so like we are there's a lot of build up things that have built up in the water by the time it gets to our faucets, right? Um, and so what I started to learn is that not all water is the same. I was coming from an understanding that H2O is H2O, right? That's what I learned. That's, a bottle of water is a bottle of water, and I'm grateful for it, which is still true. However, I've also learned that not all water is the same. And actually, it's not all even structured as H2O. There's a lot more water science than what we've ever been taught about in school. And so basically, I started drinking what I call living water. And the reason that it's living is because it has active molecular hydrogen in the water. And active molecular hydrogen is nature's antioxidant. So this water is super antioxidizing, anti-aging, anti-inflammatory. And because of those properties, it can help your body realign with its own healing, right? Because our bodies are meant to heal. Our bodies are programmed to heal, right? You get a scrape, and then you take care of it, and it gets better, right? But sometimes our bodies don't have the actual energy to be able to heal themselves. Like sometimes we need the extra support, and that support can come from a lot of different ways. I really love this water because water, in my perspective, is so foundational to your health, right? We are made of water. So the water that you're drinking becomes the water that you are, but not all water is actually hydrating you, is something that I've learned. So it's going to depend, I won't go like too deep into the science on this podcast, but basically my water journey has been recognizing that not all waters equal, and learning about how our bodies thrive when they're hydrated, and finding ways to find our hydration is really powerful. And so, that's one of the things that I've also, in bringing design and me just being myself, sharing about my experiment and interesting you in design, I've also been sharing this living water with you, because that's a way of sharing love, right? And sharing this potent energy. So kind of circling back, the energy is coming from the molecular hydrogen. And like I said, it's anti-inflammatory. So these hydrogen ions are the same thing that's giving us these anti-inflammatory experiences when we go ground. So I'm not sure how much you or your viewers or listeners have heard about grounding or earthing, but I highly recommend looking up or reaching out to either one of us. There's this YouTube video. It's for free. I believe it's called Earthing or Grounding, but it's about the science behind why spending time physically touching the earth is really healthy and healing for you. And it's because of these hydrogen ions. It's the ions that the earth is putting off, that the oceans are putting off, living bodies of water like that. When you go breathe in the ocean air, there's that like life-giving experience like that you feel, that sign on a certain scientific level that you're getting energy from the hydrogen ions, and that is what you're getting in living water. So does that kind of make sense?
It's beautiful. Yeah. I mean, it's been, let's do math. Okay. We connected, I would say maybe like 10, 11 months ago, maybe 10. Let's say 10 months. And it was pretty right away of like, that's how long I've been in my experiment, at least, with just like actually applying strategy and authority, and at the same time drinking this water. You know, so grateful for you, the education of it, you literally bringing it to my doorstep. It's already been integrated in my life, like human design and water. Like I know nothing else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I think for me, it's very, because I don't know the science. And granted, like it's not really my thing anyway to know. Like, I believe you. I believe it. Yeah. It's more for me. It's kind of just like magical.
Yes.
It's more just like kind of how you put moon water or you charge your crystals, things like that people do. It's intention. And so I literally like whisper intentions into this water. And it's very detoxing in general. Like, I mean, hey, it tastes like water. It doesn't taste like it's not like it tastes like anything else, but
I love the taste.
Yeah, and I'm sure like over the years and time, like your tongue probably can literally taste the difference. I mean, if anything, I could taste the difference of like Dasani.
Yeah.
And like I will never sponsor Dasani. Fuck that shit. You know, but
they add chemicals in there that make you thirsty.
Ew. Yeah. That's such a movie theater thing to do. Let's add salt on the popcorn so they could buy drinks.
Well, the whole bottled water industry is fucked. Is an entire scam.
Ugh.
Like, they actually created it because they started to see that people were moving away from soda because of the health benefits. It was like in the 90s that this happened.
Yeah.
Perrier was the first company that started advertising bottled water, but then the soda companies got like hopped on to that and created a market for bottled waters by instilling fear of tap water and by paying celebrities to endorse bottled water, right? And then they started framing it as a healthy alternative to soda so that they could still be making all this money, when these companies are actually going and stealing water from communities and then selling it back to them in bottled water, and meanwhile polluting the water sources. So like I can get really passionate and really deep about water and how changing the water that you drink changes your life and the life of people around you. And like, so yeah, it's huge in the healing of our bodies and our communities and our planet. Like there's this, like, there are other solutions to this health, like, that we all deserve access to, right? But we haven't been educated that drinking bottled water actually dehydrates you on a cellular level. Wow. And most bottled water is actually acidic. And so it's not good for you. We want our bodies to be maintaining their correct balance, and we need to not be filling ourselves with acidic ingredients, to be thriving.
Great. Yeah. The more you know, kids. You can't, I mean, that's the part of this healing journey. The more you know, again, but it's embodiment, right? But the more you know, I can't turn a blind eye anymore. When I enrolled in my master's program and learning all the counseling things, I cannot go back to any kind of ignorance of things, whether that's with myself or how I view other people, traumas, all the things, whatever. I can't turn a blind eye. Like, I know too much. And same with knowing about myself, right? Which human design has helped give me some access that level of awareness. in addition to the other modalities that I have on this season of the other things that I've
Mm-hmm.
explored.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, with water, I mean, shit, that's insane. So let's talk about, if water is so healing on so many levels, maybe share with me an example of, do you have any like success stories from, clients you've worked with this water, or like anything, any
Mm-hmm.
fun
Mm-hmm.
shares just from this water?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm always really careful to not say it's not like the water doesn't have the power, like the water isn't creating the healing, right? It's helping our bodies heal themselves, right?
Right.
Because we never make any claims that anyone can have any experience other than listen to yourself, right? Listen to what your body is actually telling you about what you're experiencing. But honestly, it's so beautiful to share this water with people and see like how they can feel the difference in their bodies almost immediately. Or I'll be sharing water at these events and like people just keep coming back for this hydration, like for, you start like seeing it in their eyes, right? And that's just like the surface level stuff. But I've also worked with, and I'm in a community of people who have had life-changing healing experiences changing their water, where like people who have been facing cancer or different, like one of my good friends, her body was dealing with ovarian cysts. And once she started integrating this water, there was nothing else that was like, she shocked her doctors. Like, there have been otherwise unexplainable experiences, right? And I mean, this water also like has this, the company that produces the machines that I work for specifically, like has been around for over 40 years and is it working in hospitals and things. So there's so many different ways, like depending on how you approach healing, right? And some people might be coming from more of like the Western medical perspective. Like there's a lot of research around electrolyzed reduced water and molecular hydrogen water and how that can help to transform your health. And then there's also the more like esoteric, like spiritual, like we are water, and this water has life, water is consciousness. And just like you were saying, the ability to like program your water, right? And like program it with life and with what you want to be programming yourself. Like your voice is so powerful, the waters of your body are listening, the waters that you're drinking are listening. No matter what water you're blessed to be sitting with in this moment of time and space, like you can speak with that water. And the way that you use your voice and your energy to bless that water does impact the way that you integrate that into your body.
Beautiful. Briefly share about this machine.
Yeah. So I work for a company that they're an original equipment manufacturing company that produces what's called a water ionizer, and I'm an independent distributor for that. So I connect people with these machines that you can hook up to your tap water, and it produces 7 different types of water with over 100 different uses. So there's a disinfectant water that they actually use in hospitals, and I use it to clean, disinfect around my house, and I also use it for mouthwash, right? So there's another water that is emulsifies oils, so it's an amazing degreaser. So it's great for cleaning the kitchen, and it also helps to emulsify oil-based pesticides, right? So it's a really great solution to removing pesticides from our fruits and vegetables. There's obviously the drinking waters, which you've been experiencing, that I drink and I share with anyone and everyone who's interested. And there's a lot of other uses as well for these different types of waters. I use the disinfectant water as a mouthwash, which, then I'm divesting from other things. It's like before this machine, I had to buy mouthwash, right? Now I'm not needing to do that. So there's like plastic being, there's just like, there's so much that my energy is no longer going towards because I'm able to commune with water in this way. I guess I would put it that way.
Beautiful. And yeah, I mean, I can't speak more highly of the experience of like just being so grateful for this water. And again, like I speak my intentions into it. I just feel very cleansed. And I think it's just in general, just like, even if you don't have access to this water, just like being intentional of what you're consuming.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean I'm not doing this whole like eat healthy shit. I don't believe in that. It's literally intention, and that everything is energy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, what is my relationship with this thing?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think with water, just from not knowing the science, not being in your world necessarily, but just like, thank you for sharing it, and me just like feeling nourished and cleansing and detoxing as I'm doing these other healing experiences throughout my journey. So really a lot of great gratitude for that, and human design as well, as it's mixed together.
Yeah, and I like to, they're both, I can meet people in both human design realm and water realm, but I love, at least in this context with this podcast, like kind of starting with the human design, because ultimately it's all about your authority, right? And if that inner, whatever, if you call it authority or not, I don't care, but like that inner place within you, if it's a yes to this water or a yes to a different water, like that's what I'm going to empower. Like that's what I want, is everyone to be on their own unique journeys, because then that's how we get to see a new world be built, right? Is if we're all listening to that inner compass that we each have. And that's like a really cool way to be, not like, sharing about water, is with this like inherent trust that like, what's right for you, and I know what's right for me, and we're learning as we live life together, because those things are going to keep changing.
Yeah, I love that. It's so integral. Like, just, this is what I am lit up about. This is what I respond to, even though I'm not a generator. Mm-hmm. And that's not, it's not to respond, but I am still responding.
You have wisdom to respond or not to respond, but you just don't have it fixed.
Right.
In the same way that I do.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think we actually shared, but I'm a 4/6 manifesting generator, sacral authority.
Right.
Yes.
And we didn't even get into profiles or anything like that, but there's so much to uncover, folks. There really is. So please, so on that token, if people want to connect with you, Molly, what type of services do you offer? Either water or human design?
Definitely. So my services are always evolving, because I'm actively in my experiment, listening to my authority day by day. But I definitely offer one-on-one. I call them cellular integration sessions, which are kind of like a foundational human design reading. It includes that ebook. And that's where I'm starting with right now. And I continue to work with people in the water aspect as well. So they can meet, I guess in the link in the description, in the show notes, we'll have my human design link, as well as a page where you guys can go to learn more about living water and how you can connect with living water.
Beautiful. Cool. Yeah. Anywhere else that if they want to connect with you.
Yeah. So it would be those, probably the Instagram pages, either the Space to Create or the Fourth Phase of Water.
Beautiful. And that will be located in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much, Molly. I loved having you. Paige. I love chatting about this, and also learning more about how fucked up the water bottle system, fucked up things are.
Yeah. If you want to learn more about that, Tapped is the documentary.
On YouTube. Tapped. Yes. All right. Fair enough. Thanks again, Molly. I love you so much. I really am grateful for you.
I love you too.
Well, thank you for your words of wisdom. Thank you to my listeners out there. Remember, every single day provides a lesson. Go out there, dream big, and I'll catch you next week. Take care. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others. Post about it on social media, or head over to your favorite podcast platform to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Subscribing and posting a review helps to improve engagement and is essential for the podcast to be discovered by new listeners. Thanks again for listening, and remember, every day provides a lesson. Take care.